Welcome to Michiana Main Lines. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the spurs that came off of the ex-Conrail, now the Norfolk Southern Chicago line to Mishawaka and South Bend, Indiana. It's a little bit of forensic work, a little bit of CSI. Some of these are pretty obvious, some of them are not. You may remember some of these spurs, some you may not even know ever existed. I know some of them were kind of new to me when I saw them. But we're going to take a look here at some of these now. Right now we're going to start in Mishawaka. And this was the Miles Spur. There we see the Norfolk Southern East-West Main Line, De Lorenzi Avenue, and Bendix Park. And I kind of marked with the dashed lines the spur coming in. This is an easy one because most of this track is still in place. Probably the, I believe Bear Laboratories now runs that property, and they must want that spur kept in place in case of possible use. So it's still there. The switch has been long since removed, but that's pretty typical because normally switches come off of lines pretty quick, especially main lines. And there's also financial reasons for that. Insurance and other things, they tend to get switches off of the line if they don't need them. But that's the way the line looked there. So now we will kind of take a closer look here at some ground level pictures of it. This again, De Lorenzi Avenue looking east, and there you can see the track very well still in place. Not being maintained, but not being removed either. So it's definitely being held there for possible future use, which is kind of smart because that's a pretty large complex. You never know. But it's kind of interesting. At one point there was actually big trees that were growing in between the ties, but they removed some of that. Here's a look looking westward now, and there you get a good shot of the track going into the property there, the ex Miles Laboratory. So that was a pretty easy one. Now we're going to deal with some that aren't quite as easy. I'm going to bring up our trusty ZTS map here that we've worked with before, the Conrail ZTS, and this is going to kind of show a few things here. This is again Mishawaka Avenue. That's kind of the Laurel Street 7th Street area that kind of shows a spur coming in, and we're going to kind of take a look at that. A couple other interesting things we're going to see on this map too. That particular line there off to the right going kind of to the northeast, that's a spur that it says served the Mishawaka Waterworks. I don't remember that at all. I don't know how long it was there, but I've seen maps that actually showing it going farther up north down Virgil Street. I don't know if that ran in the street or alongside of it. I haven't had a chance to really study that much, but it's interesting that it still showed on this 1980s Conrail ZTS, and there we see the Wheeler Brader Fry area there too. But we're going to concentrate on this 7th Street area, and we'll kind of look at a satellite aerial shot here now and kind of see if we can figure out where it laid. I kind of marked in red there where I think it did lay. And one other clue when you're looking at old lines like this is, and now we see there where it's we do see rail embedded into concrete there, so that's a very good indication that there definitely was a line coming in there. But also if you see there that building, notice how it's kind of got a slant to it, like a corner was kind of chopped off. Sometimes that's a good clue of a tight clearance situation where rail lines came in. We see that every so often. Also property records, if you can look at them. I didn't want to bring up any property records here because I'm not sure that that's even legal, but sometimes that will give you a clue too of possible rail lines with odd shaped property or even small parcels. But that was a look at that now, so we're going to kind of move on. I'm going to bring up another map here with two areas of interest. There we see something that crossed Spring Street almost to Main. We know that there was a freight office over there. And also a little bit to the left off of that line there was a spur that went in almost to West Street right in there. And that was the old Corlett lumber. So we're going to see what we can make out of those. Bring up that aerial view there. Again, there's Main Street. Now there's Spring Street. That's the old freight depot, and you can kind of see where I marked in red where it kind of looks like something definitely came in. Look at that building there where it's got a definite curvature to the roof line of it. So I think there was actually several tracks that might have came in there at one time, since that was a depot, but I think that's pretty evident. There's the area over to the west, which used to be the Corlett lumber. Can't really see any definite trace of where that line ran. It looks like there might have been some structures added since the line came out, but somewhere in there is where it went. So that's some of the things you can do when you're kind of looking at some of these things. Now if we bring up that map again, we're going to look at another area on that same map. Over to the left there, you see that kind of a big spur coming down. That crossed 6th, 7th, 8th, and ran almost to 11th Street according to the ZTS map, with a spur going into a steel complex there. Now I think it actually went beyond 11th Street at one time too, but at this time the ZTS showed it only going into the steel. Perhaps that business wasn't active anymore. Let's take a look at some ground shots over there now and see what we can find out. Well, here's an overhead satellite view. I kind of marked in red just where that line ran. That's pretty easy to find. You can kind of see where it went through some white areas in the neighborhood area. There's kind of a narrow area there just south of 8th Street where it kind of went through a corridor and then down to 11th. And now, of course, the well pit occupies most of that area south of 11th, but way back when, it might have went into some kind of a industry there. But I just kind of marked in that spur into the steel plant there, kind of like it showed it. But we'll take a look now at some ground level views where we can get a better look. Here's 6th Street looking toward the main. There you can kind of see a nice open area there where the line came through. That building also kind of has a little bit of a slanted nature to it, indicating another possible close clearance situation. But that is where that line came through. Now we'll take a look at a shot off of 8th Street looking south. Again, there you can kind of see that area, kind of a narrow alleyway type of thing. You can see in the pavement some kind of straight cracking over there where there probably may still be rail embedded under the pavement. Who knows? And even the sidewalk kind of has a square patchy look to it. So that all kind of indicates there definitely was something there. Now I'll take a look at 11th Street. This is looking north. There we too see kind of a definite, almost alley appearance where something was. And you can kind of see that one door there. Maybe that possibly was a boxcar loading door at one time. Don't know for sure. And don't know if it crossed 11th or not, but it definitely was a spur. Interesting how much business and how many spurs there were. That's one of the things you find when you study these lines. Now we're going to go into South Bend. There's the old South Bend secondary. That's covered thoroughly enough on a prior video. But the two circle areas is what we're going to concentrate here now. That one there to the north of the track was the old Fuller O'Brien plant, which had a spur going into it. To the south we had a spur to Michiana Beverage. And there was also another spur coming into some industries. I remember refrigerator cars being left at that spur there on the right. I don't know what industry it was for, but I do remember that when you used to be able to drive into that area. But also I think there might have been something going straight south at one time, even though it wasn't in evidence at this time anymore. But there might have been something going into that Marycrest building area, and there might have been a loading dock there. But we'll look at what we can confirm here for sure, and we can definitely confirm on this. Here's the Washington Street looking north into the old Fuller O'Brien, and you can definitely see the crack rail probably still under the pavement. I remember tank cars being spotted in that narrow area, probably back in the 70s, maybe into the 80s, but 70s for sure. Now we look on the other side of Washington. There we have our definite confirmation. There we see rail for sure. Of course, far back there is the NS Main. There also was a South Shore spur that kind of crossed through there too, but we're not going to deal with that much because we're pretty much hitting Conrail. But there's a close-up of that rail still embedded, so there's a spur that definitely we can prove did exist, like we did with the one on 7th. But now we will continue here, and I'll take a look at Olive Street in that Michiana Beverage. I'm not exactly sure. The first red mark I have there, as memory serves, I think that's where that kind of a short spur came in and had a dead end bumper. But at one time it might have went under that awning. I'm not sure of that. It could have been rerouted, but kind of looking now where there seems to be a break in that kind of driveway there, I think that's where it actually was. But again, this is one of the things now, if you didn't know, you wouldn't even really have any idea that there was a spur there. But there definitely was, because I remember that one. Now we're going to take another look here at that area, the South Bend vicinity area here. There we see a lot going on that's west of Meade Street. And there's the Amtrak station. There we see a spur that went into interchange with the South Shore in later years, but the important thing was serving Bendix. You see all that trackage back there. That was like 8 or 9 spurs that served Bendix. I remember coal still going in there by Penn Central in the late 60s. So definitely a lot going on at Bendix at one time, but now of course that is no more, and this switch has been removed and there is no longer an interchange point there. Now that area was kind of inaccessible. You kind of had to do some walking to find that one, but it definitely was there. And also to the south you kind of see a red line. There was a track to the south of the 2 main tracks that served some other businesses we'll look at to the west here shortly, and that also served that Mary Crest and that Michiana. But back when the Amtrak station was put in the early 70s, in order to put the platform there, that track had to be removed. It was a very ramshackle line. It had a lot of broken glass and kind of lighter rail, but that's actually what served that there. But then it was removed in order to make way for the South Amtrak boarding platform. So kind of one of the changes that took place there over the years. But that southern track is what served those areas. Now we'll kind of take a look here at a overview shot of that area, and there you see the crossover still in place, crossing the South Shore line. But obviously the switch is removed and it is no longer there coming off of the main. I'm not sure exactly when that was removed. I'm thinking maybe early 2000s, but somebody else may know that for sure. But at any rate, there is no interchange taking place there anymore with the South Shore, and of course nothing going on in Bendix freight wise off of NS either. But and there to the south you can kind of see kind of a grade still remaining of where that 4th line was. And there might have even been another line to the north there too. There might have been 4 mains actually at one time, but that I don't know for sure either. But now let's bring up that ZTS map again once more here, and looking there far over to the left, that was 2 industries that were served east of Grandview and west of Meade Street. That was the Mohawk Flush Door and the Belyden Meatech, and those spurs are in evidence on this ZTS map. I'm not sure when they stopped being used, but we'll take a look at an overhead and we'll be able to see some very good evidence of those being there. In fact, it looks like there's even some track possibly in place on that Mohawk, but definitely at the Blythe Meattack. But there on the Mohawk, you can see a very, very good open cut area where something came in off of the main, almost like a little alleyway there you see alongside the east side of the old Mohawk flush door. I believe they had 4 loading docks there. You could sometimes see boxcars spotted there off of Linden Avenue, and there now we see the spur coming in. Pretty good evidence there of there being a grade and embedded rail into pavement, so we've got definite confirmation that a spur came in there. But that one I don't believe was really too visible off of Linden Avenue. You had to really be straining your neck to try to see anything there, so you might not even have been aware that there were spurs there, but there were. So that's kind of a look at that. I hope you have enjoyed this. We're going to do some more of these type of things on the south side of South Bend next, looking at the 3 lines that crossed Olive and Walnut Street, and even a little look at the Pennsylvania. So like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm going to close here with one final shot that I didn't get in here quick enough, but we will show it. It's a shot of that interchange track with the Conrail engine coming out of the Bendix and CSS interchange. That's another I call famous Jeff Strombeck photo from 1981, which will show a switch engine coming out of there. So don't go away until you see that. But otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Have a good day.